The Atlanta Braves lose 5-3 to the Miami Marlins to drop the series, and I think I'm starting to realize they may not be very good. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. Jake Mastriani's wrapping up his vacation. He should be back in time for tomorrow's Postcast when we talk about Game 1 against the New York Mets. But in the meantime, I got to talk about this 5-3 loss to the Miami Marlins. And it's a familiar pattern that we've seen over and over again. Okay, we're going to get to the offense. We're going to get to Alex Verdugo and try to figure out what exactly he's doing on this team still anyway. But we've got to talk about the pitching and Brian Snitker's role in what happened today. So Bryce Elder struggled against Colorado his last time out. He has extra rest going into this one. He was lined up for the Thursday start against New York. And when Atlanta shuffled the rotation, they gave Strider that start. And then they went ahead and pushed Elder from Friday to Sunday. So he had a lot of extra rest today. And you heard CJ talk about it on the broadcast. Same thing that Joe Simpson on the radio calls talked about a lot, where sinker ballers kind of, you want to be a little bit fatigued, right? So they can keep the ball down, things like that. You throw a little bit extra oomph and it's going up in there. But the issue here is second straight start for Bryce Elder that is not good, okay? Again, he struggles against the Rockies. It hurts that his two bad starts in a row are the Rockies and the Marlins. But today, 5 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 5 runs, 1 walk to 4 strikeouts. Gives up a home run. But when you look at the way this one unfolded, it was very clear from the very beginning that Bryce Elder did not have it. Okay? Atlanta scores a run in the first inning. Feels like in 2023 with the different baseballs, that's probably a 3 or 4 run inning, right? Matt Olson flies out to deep left field. Marcell Ozuna flies out to deep center field. Drake Baldwin flies out to deep left field. It feels like that's probably a 4-run inning back in 23 with those baseballs. But Xavier Edwards leads off with he rips a single off of Bryce Elder. 91-mile-an-hour sinker, center of the plate. I mean, he just center cut as perfect as you could get on a platter, and he rips it 98 degrees. In retrospect, Elder's lucky it was only a single, okay? And then he gets 2 quick outs, and then he gets a strikeout, right? But it was just very clear, so many of his locations. His first pitch to Jesus Sanchez, slider, center cut down the middle of the plate, right? Otto Lopez, he gets a slider, center cut, middle of the plate, and happens to swing over it. And you saw Miami start to just chip away and just tee off. Kyle Stowers hits a home run to open the second inning. Again, sinker, center cut, just perfect pitch, and he crushes it. 108, deepest part of the ballpark, home run. It was very clear early that Bryce Elder didn't have it. And he did enough to keep you in the game, right? He did not pitch very well, but at the end of 5 innings, he's at 4 earned runs. And then Brian Snitker brings him back for the 6th inning. And I'm really struggling with this idea of Atlanta changed the rotation to try to beat the Mets, right? And Atlanta goes in and sweeps New York. You had quick hooks on pitchers. You pressed all of the right buttons to beat New York. And then you turn around against the Marlins, and you let an obviously struggling and not very good Bryce Elder go back out for the 6th inning. I understand the idea of you're trying to steal outs from the bullpen. Like, that's something that we've been saying. Jake and I have been talking about this now for a month, about you're trying to get as much as you can out of your starters. But he clearly did not have it. He should not have been brought back for the 6th inning. This is a situation where Snit approaches these games in different ways, right? The Mets series was, we got to do everything. We got to push. We got to do all the extra stuff to make sure we take this one. But then the Marlins series, you have the lesser talented part of your rotation, right? Your Fuentes, Elder in there. And when you don't get a great start from your starter, the offense can't do enough. You're not trying to mitigate that in any way, right? You weren't doing the pinch hitting. Okay. I thought when Nick Allen came up in the 7th inning, they were going to pinch hit for Nick Allen and then let Luke Williams play 2 innings of shortstop. Didn't do that. It felt like you didn't pull all of the buttons you did this weekend. Like you pulled the levers and pressed the buttons against the Mets. And again, when you got away from the formula, which is we need an amazing start from our starting pitcher, our offense can do just enough to win. You didn't get that today. As far as the actual pitching goes outside of that, I mean, again, Elder, not a lot of whiffs. He gave up 9 or 10 hard hit balls. They were just crushing what he did. He got a grand total of 5 whiffs, 1 on the slider. That's definitely your problem right there. Outside of that, the pitching was Dylan Dodd went in 2/3. Austin Cox made his debut, win an inning, and it was fine. But you were in a hole going into that. The other thing that didn't help you here, I've seen a lot of you talk about this in the chat, and we are getting to this, I promise. The other thing that didn't help you is the offense was bad, and you didn't do enough to try to make up for it or get production from some of these guys. We'll talk about that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Because Wonderful Pistachios, that's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. A lot of different options depending on how you're going to eat them. Let's say you are, on a road trip. Right? You're walking around a park or something. Hey, guess what? No shells variety, quick little grab and go snack, little quick protein boost. Maybe you're sitting down watching some disappointing baseball. The in-shell options, classic favorite. You get to crack open every shell for that satisfying crunch. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. The starting pitching wasn't good. The offense also wasn't good. Continuing a trend, right? And there's a couple exceptions here. Ronald Acuna Jr., again, 2 for 4, scores 2 runs. He does Ronald Acuna Jr. things, obviously. Drake Baldwin gets a hit, an RBI, a run scored. Austin Riley's 1 for 4 with an RBI. Ozzie Albies goes 2 for 4. Did not see that coming. But you had a couple issues here. I'm not that mad at Matt Olson. 0 for 2, he does get on base twice via walks. I don't think the at-bats were that awful from Matt Olson. I'm looking at Marcell Ozuna going 0 for 4. And then the biggest thing is your bottom of the order. Alex Verdugo, I thought he did have a hit late, but outside of that, he was pretty pathetic in just about every single respect today. Defensively, plenty of balls that it felt like somebody else could have got to that he didn't get to. Ground outs in the infield. One of them, he barely even ran to first base. His sprint speed came in under 20 feet a second, which is Marcell Ozuna was faster than that. It just feels like Michael Harris, 0 for 4 today, batting average down to 223. That's been frustrating. Nick Allen, again, defensively is great. They pinch hit for him in the 9th at the very end when it didn't matter. Kind of felt like you should have tried to do that in the 7th inning versus the 9th, right? But the issue here is when you finally get guys hot. Ronald's been hot since he came back. Matt Olson was doing well. Riley starting to pick it up. Drake Baldwin starting to get back into the groove of things. The bottom of your order is just not giving you anything at all. Michael Harris has been just dreadful. And we've talked about this before. Pitches in the strike zone, he's batting like 299. It's pitches outside of the zone, and he chases way too much. I don't know what the solution is here. A lot of people say you should bench Michael Harris and play Eli White. Maybe they do that. You still have the situation of Alex Verdugo in left is still bad as well. Jurickson Profar is back in a couple weeks. You can handle one black hole in your lineup, right? You can handle one player that is not good at all with the bat because they're an exceptional defender. And that was the plan for Orlando Arcia, and then he just stopped becoming a good defender. I'm not saying that's correct or I believe in that, but that's obviously what Atlanta's thought philosophy has been here. You don't have Orlando Arcia in your lineup for 24 and plan to have him the starter for 25 if you don't think that great defense can offset no offensive production. The problem is we have more than one because, again, I love Nick Allen. I think his defense is fantastic. He struggled at the plate. Michael Harris, his defense is fantastic. I don't own very many jerseys. I'm not a jersey kind of guy. I have a lot of baseball themed t-shirts, but not jerseys. The one jersey I have is an Outcast themed Michael Harris jersey. I'm a Harris fan, but he's struggling worse than he's ever struggled before. I've seen some suggestions in the chat here on YouTube. Maybe we need to give him a chance to reset in AAA. Do you bench him for a week? Do you let him reset in AAA? I don't quite know what to do there. But Alex Verdugo's also been pretty bad in left field, and he starts a majority of the games. You can't play Eli White in both positions. Maybe when Jurickson Profar comes back, they'll be more aggressive about playing Eli White in center and playing Jurickson Profar in left for a while. But for right now, you're getting black holes there. Ozzy Albies has been pretty rough until this weekend. He had a couple hits this weekend. But you saw what happens when the starting pitching is not phenomenal. And that is the two games where you didn't get great starting pitching, you lost both of them, Friday and Sunday, and you won Saturday. Now, the way that they've adjusted the rotation, maybe, you have 2 or 3 good pitchers going against the Mets. Maybe you win 2 or 3 there. But again, it's the same situation of the offense has not been good enough. And Alex Anthopoulos talked about this on 680 The Fan the other day. And he said, we haven't given our starters and our relievers enough of a margin for error. And they got to be better. New series starts tomorrow. This is going to be Spencer Schwellenbach versus Paul Blackburn, and then Strider versus Montas. It really feels like you've got to win the first 2 games of this series. Game 3, Didier Fuentes versus Clay Holmes, and then Game 4, Grant Holmes versus Griffin Canning. So really kind of feels like you've got to take games 1 and 2. All 4 games, 7:10 p.m. We will be back with a postcast. Jake should also be back for tomorrow. We'll be back with a postcast for Monday. But again, this has been just talking about a 5-3 loss by the Braves to the Marlins to lose the series, and really a loss that you could not afford to take, given where you are trying to climb back, trying to get into the wild card race. It's very 2025 Atlanta Braves to beat the Mets in a sweep and then lose 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. This has been the Braves Postcast. Do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live to break down more games. You know when Jake has his daily episodes, when the Falcons guys are over here talking about what they're doing in camp, the Hawks with Brad Rolland, and everybody else. This has been the Braves Postcast. I am Lindsay Crosby.